Hey everybody, Mac here, and we're talking about adding and subtracting radical expressions. So we're going to add and subtract all those square roots. And what we learned from version A and B is that the square root has to be the same in order for us to add. Now, if you don't know where version A and B are, all you have to do is go to maxtutorials.com and go to the section that says radical expressions, and it'll say adding and subtracting, and you'll find them all there, and I think they'll be very helpful. In fact, you shouldn't do C without looking at A and B, okay? And the big thing that we talked about, just like if I have 2x plus 3y, that's like having 2 radical 5 plus 3 radical 7. You can't do anything with it. But if I have 2x plus 3x, that's like having 2 radical 5 plus 3 radical 5. Here, you just add the numbers and you copy the x. Here, you just add the numbers and what do you do with those? Is the square root of 10? No. You just copy the radical. Okay, so treat radicals as if they're just x's and y's. So now I look at number 1, I go, well, 12 and 27 don't combine. Hey, so I'm done. I don't have to do anything. Well, no, sorry. It doesn't work that way. Okay, the first thing you have to do is you have to simplify these. And I do have a video and practice sheets. It's the very first part of this section at maxtutorials.com. We have to break them down. That's going to be a 4 times 3, and that's going to be a 2 times 2. And remember, in square roots, we're looking for pairs. There's a pair of 2's, so I'm going to match that with my outside 4. And the 3 will be left over. So I'm going to get 8 root 3 plus, now I've got to take my 27 and break it down. That's going to be a 9 times 3 and a 3 times 3. So there's my pair of 3's, which is going to have to pair up with that. 9, and what's left over? A root 3. Now that I've broken them down, look, they're the same. So I'm going to do the numbers, and I'm going to copy the exponent. And that, my friends, is how we're going to do 16 problems. Okay, so these are a little bit long and tedious, but stay with me, and I think you'll feel really good about them. 32 I have to break down, and that's going to break down to an 8 times 4. 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. Okay, so boom, boom, there's one. Boom, boom, there's another. And I'm left with a root 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 7 is 28, root 2. Now I'm going to break down 18. That's going to be a 9 times 2 and a 3 times 3. I'm going to pull out a pair of 3's. Now that has to then pair up with the 5 that's already out there. And I'm going to get a 15 root 2. Now look, they're the same. So I just add them, and I'm going to get a 43 root 2. Okay? Okay, let's do number 2. So now I'm going to have a 20 out here, and I have to break down my 20. Well, we can go 4 times 5, and then 4 is a 2 times 2. So now what I'm going to do is I have a pair of 2's, so I take a 2 to pair with that number 5. That's a multiply, right? And so I'm going to get a 10 root, what's left over? A 5. Now I have to break down my 45. That's going to be 9 times 5 and 3 times 3. I can pull out my pair of 3's, and now I'm going to get a minus 6 square root of 5. Now, put them together. We do have like terms, and I'm going to get a 4 root 5. Okay, let's go on to number 3. I kind of went across right there. I'm just going to work down now. All right, so now I can see that I can break down the 48 and the 75. So let's do it. 48 is going to be 6 times 8. I can break him down to 3 times 2. And I can break him down to what? 2, 2, 2. All right, so now here, boom, boom, there's a pair of 2's. And boom, boom, there's another pair of 2's. And I have a 3 left over, so this will be my leftover. So now 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, so I'm going to have 12 root 3 plus, and now I better do something with that 75. That's going to be 3 times 25. And that's going to be 5 times 5. Look, I can pull out a 5, but I already have a 2 there. So that's going to become 10 root 3 minus root 2. These two are like terms. This one is not. So my answer is going to be 22 root 3 minus root 2. Again, all the rules with square roots are the same rules with x's and y's. Okay? So let's go 28. 28, I'm going to go 7 times 4, and this is 2 times 2. So I can pull out a 2 to go with the 6, and I'm going to have 12 root 7 minus 4 root 7, which is 8 root 7. Okay, and there, my friends, is the answer. Let's go down to number 5. I only have to break down the 72. So 72 is going to be 9 times 8. That's going to be a 3 and a 3, and we've already learned that that's 2, 2, 2. Okay, well, here's a pair of 3s. Cool. But look, here's a pair of 2s. Cool. And I have a 2 left over. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 root 2 plus 7 root 2. Add them together, and it's going to be 19 root 2. All right, let's go on to number 6. Okay, so 63, I'm going to break down 9 times 7. 3 times 3, there's my pair of 3s, is going to match with a 4, and I'm going to get 12 root 7. Now I'm going to break up the 28. That's going to be 7 times 4, and that's going to be a 2 times 2. So I can pull out a 2 to go with that 3, and I'm going to get minus 6 root 7 plus 5 root 2. Like terms, not a like term. That's like 12x minus 6x plus 5y. So I'm going to get 6 root 7 plus 5 root 2. And done. Let's go on. Oh, man, they are really making us work, aren't they? Okay, so let's break down 54. That can become just a 9 times 6. That's a 3 times 3. And this is a 3 times 2. So there's my pair of 3s. So I'm going to pull out a 3, but I'm going to be left with a 6. So I'm going to get 15 root 6 plus. Now, let's break down my 24. Okay, so that can be 8 times 3, and that's 2, 2, 2. There's a pair of 2s. That'll match with a 6. So I'm going to get 12 root 6. Altogether, I'm going to get 27 root 6. Okay? And the last one on this row, I'm going to take my 8, and we've already learned that that's 2, 2, 2. Pull out a 2 to go with the 9, and I'm going to get 18 root 2. Now the 50 is going to be a 2 times 25. That's going to be a 5 times 5. Boom, boom, and I'm going to get 5 times that. So I'm going to get minus 10 root 2. Altogether, 8 root 2. Okay? Great. Let's go on. Number 10, 125. Well, when I see 125, because of my days of playing video games in the 1980s, I know that 125 is just 5 quarters. Okay? And then I know that 25 is 5 and 5. There's a pair of 5s. I'm going to pull that out and match it with that 3. So I'm going to get 15 root 5. Now I know I can do something with the 20, so I'm going to pull off over here, and I'm going to break that down into 4 times 5, which is 2 times 2. I look for a pair, and I pull my pair out, and that's going to be minus 8 root what's left over? The 5, plus root 11. Boink, boink. I'm going to get 7 root 5 plus root 11. Da-da-da-da-da. Here we go, number 11. 18. This is going to be 2 times 9 and a 3 times 3. Okay? So boom, boom, I've got that. I'm going to pull them out, and I'm going to have 21 root 2. Now I have an 8. We know that 8, we've been doing this for a while, is 2, 2, 2, right? So let's pull 2 of those out and match them with the 5. So that's minus 10 root 2 plus 2 root 5. Boom, boom. And I'm going to get 11 root 2 plus 2 root 5. And done. Number 12. Boom, 50. 2 times 25, and that's going to become a 5 times 5. Now that I paired that up, look, I can pull one of them out. I'm going to be left with 30 root 2 plus 4 root 2 is 34 root 2. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's keep going. Let's do number 13. So I'm going to break down the 32. And that's going to be an 8 times 4. Watch what I'm going to do here, only because I know what's going to happen. 2 times 4. I didn't break down the 4s, but I did find a match. And if you match, it doesn't have to be prime. If you find any match, you can pull them out. So I'm going to pull a 4 out right away. And that's going to become a 32 root 2 minus, well, let's do this. 18, that's going to be a 9 times 2, and that's going to be a 3 times 3. I can pull out a 3, which will match with that 3, so it's going to be 9 root 2. When I subtract them, I'm going to get a 23 root 2. And I'm done. Let's keep going. Number 14, I'm going to pull a 98 out right here, and that's going to become 2 times 49, and that's going to become a 7 times 7. Cool, I found a pair. I can pull them out and work with the 5. So I'm going to get 35 root 2. Cool. Remember, the 8. The 8 is just 2, 2, 2, or 2 root 2. But I'm going to pull the 2 out so it can max with that one, and that's going to be a 4 root 2. And over here, it's just going to be a root 3. Boom, boom. 39 root 2 plus root 3. I cannot combine those because they are not the same. That's like 39x plus 3y. Or 39x plus y, sorry. Okay, this one, I'm going to take my 12, and I'm going to break that down in the 4 times 3, and the 4 to a 2 times 2. I can pull out a 2 with the 9, and I'm going to get 18 root 3. Now the 27 is going to be a 3 and a 9, which is going to be a 3 and a 3. Boom, boom. I can pull out a 3 that matches with the 4. Don't forget, if there's a number already out, you do have to times it by it. So even though you pulled out a number, you still got some multiplication to do. 18 minus 12 is going to be 6, and I'm left with a root 3, and I'm done. Last one, okay? This is going to be 40. So 45 is going to be a 9 times 5 and a 3 times 3. Look, I could pull out a 3 to match with my 7 to make it 21 root 5. Now I'm going to play with that 20. That's going to be a 4 times 5 and a 2 times 2. Look, I can pull out a 2 to match with that 5. And I'm going to get a 10 root 5. Now they're like terms, so it's going to be 31 root 5. Bingo, done. You can now add and subtract square roots. Look at you, you're pros, you're doing great, and this will help you in the future because you will have to do a lot of this as we move forward. Okay, great job, everybody. We'll see you on the next video.